With the San Francisco 49ers beating the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round in a bit of a sloppy fashion, and Brock Purdy kind of struggling in that game with the rain and the elements and all the different things, while still leading the game-winning drive to put the 49ers up over the Packers that ultimately won the game. I think we all knew that we could set our watches to this Monday to understand that the national media was going to come out taking shots at Brock and everything in between. And that's exactly what happened. So we even have Brandon Aiyuk coming out already to defend his quarterback based on some of the takes. But one of the takes right now that is kind of driving this forward is by Ryan Clark. He went on ESPN today and said a whole lot about Brock Purdy. And we're going to show you what Brandon Aiyuk said. But first, let's listen to what Ryan Clark had to say about Brock Purdy. And of course, we're going to react to it on the other side.
I'm about to make a confession. The single hardest thing I had to do this year was act like Brock Purdy deserved to be in the conversations with the other people we're mentioning in that tweet. Because he was playing extremely well and operating in that offense and distributing the ball to Kittle and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk, we had to continue to include him in conversations with the Lamar Jacksons. We had to continue to include him in conversations with the Josh Allen. Those things are not alike. Brock Purdy is a fine player. Brock Purdy can operate in Kyle Shanahan's offense at an extremely efficient level. Brock Purdy doesn't raise the level of play of anyone around him. And so when you talk about Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, the people around them benefit from having those sorts of players at the quarterback position. Brock Purdy benefits from having the sort of players he has at the skill positions around him. And so when we look at that game against the Green Bay Packers, even with Jordan Love throwing an inopportune, inexplicable interception to end the game, I was sitting there watching them going, man, the NFL world should be excited that Jordan Love doesn't play for the San Francisco 49ers. And we are starting, at least in my opinion, to get into the realm the San Francisco 49ers used to be with Jimmy Garoppolo, where it was, with Kyle Shanahan calling plays, we could be really good. With the players around him, we could be really good. But can our quarterback take us to the next level? And now that it's getting down to the critical football moments, to the moments that turn good players into legends, that turn good teams into teams we never forget, you're starting to see. You don't take Brock Purdy over Jared Goff right now. And you for sure don't take Brock Purdy over the two dudes on the other side in the AFC. So if you're the San Francisco 49ers, you're thinking to yourself right now, this team that we were starting to run through our quarterback better run through Uncle Shannon's nephew, Christian McCaffrey. Because if it doesn't, they're going to find themselves at home again without a ring.
I'm honestly not surprised at all in the slightest. I can almost actually say I saw this coming from a mile away. The whole fact that Ryan Clark admits that he's switching up and he never really was buying the hype to begin with, but he had to go along with the narratives because Brock Purdy was playing so well and in the MVP category, but he really didn't believe it. It's like, yeah, I think we could have guessed that, Ryan. And I also think it's funny how he compares him to Jimmy Garoppolo, because Ryan Clark, if you guys don't remember, first got his name out there as an analyst really in these NFL circles after taking shots at Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers. He's the guy that called the 49ers pretenders, if you guys don't remember, in that 2019 season in which they went 13-3 and all the way to the Super Bowl. He called the 49ers pretenders, and that was a name that the 49ers adopted. We called ourselves the pretenders. We took it on head on, and the rest is history. Obviously, we didn't win the ultimate prize at the end, and Jimmy Garoppolo didn't really develop how we thought he was going to. And so maybe he feels vindicated by his original take back then, and he's now comparing Brock Purdy to Jimmy Garoppolo. But I think if any 49er fan has been paying attention, we understand that Brock Purdy is playing at an exceedingly higher level than Jimmy Garoppolo ever has for the San Francisco 49ers. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo was never an MVP candidate. Jimmy Garoppolo was never playing with these efficiency numbers. Jimmy Garoppolo never pushed the ball downfield like this. So this is on brand for Ryan and his take. But you also have Brandon Aiyuk coming to defend his quarterback, and I kind of love it. So let's take a look at what Brandon Aiyuk has to say. But it's not just Brandon Aiyuk. We're also going to hear from Richard Sherman as well. Brandon Aiyuk posted this onto his Instagram story, and he said, y'all need to stop this dissing and turn on the tape. That's for everybody. And then he emphasized once more, all caps, everybody. And if you don't see it, the tweet below from Ryan Clark, this came from him last night, and he said, yo, watching this game with Allen and Mahomes after Baltimore and Lamar yesterday makes me think, how does Brock Purdy beat any of these dudes? First of all, I absolutely love that Brandon Aiyuk is again doing what pretty much all these players say, and what I say, and everyone else who's had any stake in this Brock Purdy kind of debate that it's now become. It's just watch the tape and you'll be able to see what Brock Purdy is capable of. But on top of that, you're also hearing from other defensive backs, all pros who've played at an extremely high level, coming to Brock Purdy's defense as well. And former 49er Richard Sherman had this to say. He actually quote tweeted that tweet by Ryan Clark, and he said this: I don't get how we hold a second-year quarterback who has gone to NFC Championship game in both of his first 2 years, gets held to the standard of all the elite quarterback, but gets none of the credit when he plays elite. And that, I'm not going to lie, that's low-key a bar right there by Richard Sherman. He continues to go on to say 3-1 record in the playoffs and hasn't lost a playoff game in which he has started and finished. I just don't know, RC. Just seems that regardless of what he does, he won't have the talent of the other guys. And this is it. This is it. Brock is always going to be Brock. He's never going to be a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. That's just not the case. That will never be the way. But as we know, and this is extremely relevant, just within not like the last 10 years, the standard for quarterback play has done a complete 180. For years and years and years, it was prototypical pocket passers were the guys that you were after. But with Mahomes and the emergence of guys like Deshaun Watson and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, these athletic, huge body framed quarterbacks have become the standard, because you can see that having the duality of being able to throw elite and run elite obviously strains a defense. But let's not forget, that's not the only way to play quarterback. You can also play quarterback from the pocket and do things exceptionally well within the system. And I just don't think that Brock gets enough credit for that. It's a huge talking point that we've covered on this channel all the time, that he gets knocked for being able to read defenses. He gets knocked for throwing with anticipation and throwing on time and throwing within structure. The reason why this becomes a conversation is because all these other quarterbacks are scrambling, breaking out of the pocket, making insane throws downfield, which are big time highlight plays. But Brock doesn't get credit for just actually being a good quarterback within a scheme and executing as he should. So this whole conversation is just going to be ongoing. It will continue to be ongoing because he's never going to be a physically imposing quarterback. So he's never going to get that credit unless he wins multiple Super Bowls, not just one Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowls. So this is going to be just an ongoing conversation. People are going to take their shots, and especially when he struggles. It's just this weird scenario right now where people in the national media are just waiting for Brock Purdy to struggle so they can say, well, see, this is how I actually felt. And we talked about this way early on in the season when he was playing well. And I said this. I said he is going to have a bad game. He will. No player goes their entire career without a bad game, right? Everyone has a bad game. But when he is going to have a bad game, watch the people who turn. They're going to tell you exactly how they really feel when he has a bad game, because that gives them the opportunity to have the confidence to say how they really feel. Just like RC. He just told you that. He just told you that he couldn't come out and discredit Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy was playing too well. And it wouldn't have made sense. He would have sounded like a hater. So he couldn't do that. He had to go along with the wave. And now that you have that Ravens game and you have him struggle in this Packers game, oh, we'll see. This is how I really feel. I'm just saying, these guys are predictable. All of this is predictable. So just get prepared. We're going to keep hearing it. And there's even more people coming out talking about Brock Purdy. So I want to hear from you guys on this whole situation. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.